This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District off.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America as we kick off another week. Seth Merrill, happy you took the time to join us this morning. We are going to be joined a little later on by Mike Penna of the Horse Racing Radio Network. He joins us regularly on Mondays to recap some stakes action. Certainly there were some nice stakes to take a look at from this past weekend. We will do that with Mike, and then a little later on, Eric Donovan from the New York Racing Association will join us. Monday racing at Aqueduct now, so we'll get some of Eric's thoughts for racing this afternoon. Over the weekend, obviously, again, big stakes action with some high-quality horses, 3-year-old division, older division, West Coast, East Coast. We'll touch on that not only today but throughout the week, but also on the weekend. There was the Future Pool 2 for the Kentucky Derby. Typically, this was the traditional Future Pool 1, but again, last year, at the end of the year, they had the opening Future Pool, which was for 2-year-olds. So this was an early pool that, again, would traditionally have been the first pool, and as always, all others winds up to be the favorite, and you can see it there. 3-2 was the final price on all others in the Future Pool 2 when the pools closed on Saturday. I said earlier, I jumped in and took a little piece of 6 of these, just a very little piece. I was very happy I got Candy Boy at 32-1 prior to the nice win in the Bob Lewis. Picked up a little bit of Conquest Titan at 29-1, Christo at 76-1, Matterhorn at 63-1, and Tapiture and Tonalist at 38 and 48-1. That's where I went with, as I say, just a little modest jump in. The other odds on logical contenders, Cairo Prince, who was the morning line favorite at 8-1, floated up to 13-1. Strong Mandate, morning line 20-1, floated down to 7-1. Top Billing, 15-1 morning line, 13-1 were the closing odds for that one. You know, all of those would be tough to take. I've said it many times. You'd like 30-1 or better, I think, at least. Shared Belief, 10-1 morning line, floated up to 14-1. That you know, you're in that between 10 and 20-1. I think those are odds just to get to the first Saturday in May, much less making the race. So there was some in there that just weren't attractive, and there were a couple, as I say, I dipped my toe in when it got up to 30-1 or so. And Christo and Matterhorn at 76 and 63-1 is probably even closer to where you want to be at this point in the calendar. But wagering closed. The notable thing on the Future Pool was the actual handle. The combined handle between the WinBet and the Exacta pools, 380,000. That compares to last year, 621,000. So that's about, I don't know, 40% dip, 40% dip, significant. I'm wondering now, NYRA, because they're currently in a little bit of a dispute with Churchill Downs. NYRA didn't take the bet. That certainly could have affected things. But I'm wondering if the Saturday close, they may not have put out the word loudly enough to let people know that Saturday was going to be the close. And I wonder if that affected things, because they have changed the rules a little bit this year, that these future pools will now close on the Saturdays that are leading into the 3-year-old races on the Derby Trail. So this year, the pool either closed at 6 o'clock or post time of the Bob Lewis, whichever came first, so that you weren't going to get a chance to see the Bob Lewis results. It's an interesting idea, but it's different than the way they've done it in past years. So I wonder if some people weren't thinking, hey, I'll get a chance to see the Bob Lewis, then I'll make my bet on Sunday, and they tried to make the bet on Sunday and realized they were out of luck. So you would think that when the next pool hits, people will be a little more keyed into that, perhaps. And so I will be interested to see what the handle's like in Pool 3 and if people kind of catch up to the change. Because I have a feeling that this is a pretty significant dip in the handle, but I have a feeling that was at least partially to blame for the, again, significant drop. Leaderboard, Midnight Hawk, bounces up to number 5 on the Kentucky Derby points leaderboard. Midnight Hawk now has 12 points. Candy Boy with his win moves into the number 9 position with 10 points. Still, nobody has broken through 14 points. Those are the leaders, the 3 top point getters currently on the Kentucky Derby leaderboard. Havana with 14, Cairo Prince with 14, Honor Code with 14. Tapiture, Midnight Hawk right behind with 12. And as I noted a couple of weeks ago, I looked it up, and last year it was either 10 or 14 points got in the last horse into the field last year. But again, I think last year was the first year, but they now have an AE list, and the horse on the AE list had only 6 points last year. That horse did not end up making it into the field. But this 14 points that are at the top of the list right now, last year that would have gotten you in. So just kind of interesting. We haven't had much shakeup going beyond that 14 points for a while now. We'll see. They'll hit that next round of higher point total races. And I'm just looking. When do they kick into the higher point totals? They have a couple more races with this 10, 4, and 2 points. That'll be the El Camino Real Derby at Golden Gate and the Southwest at Oaklawn. The Southwest is February 17th. Fountain of Youth on February 22nd kicks off the 50-point races. 50 points for a win, 20 for second, 10 for third. So certainly about 2 weeks from now, we'll start to see this leaderboard shake up a little bit as far as the top end. But right now, 14 leads in the clubhouse. Courier-Journal Derby media poll comes out every Sunday. Yesterday's updated Kentucky Derby media poll from the Louisville Courier-Journal. Not really a change at top. Cairo Prince last week was on top. Underneath were Honor Code and Top Billing. They flip-flopped. Top Billing is now at number 2 on the poll. Honor Code number 3. Commissioner 4, Shared Belief number 5. Appearing on the list for the first time after the weekend win, Candy Boy. Candy Boy makes the Courier-Journal media poll at the number 6 position. Rounding out the top 10, Strong Mandate, Vickers in Trouble, Conquest Titan, and Indianapolis. So Candy Boy off the nice win in the Bob Lewis on the weekend. Bounces not only onto the list, but into the top 10. So we'll continue to monitor the Courier-Journal media poll as the weeks progress. Did want to mention, I mentioned that yesterday on Loose on the Lead, but I didn't get a chance to mention it here on Racing Across America, but I've talked about it a few times over the past week, so did want to update you. Trainer Kim Hammond had a win over the weekend that counted as career win number 2,000 for her. That was on Saturday at Turfway. A horse in the 4th race named Big Smooth, 6-1, paid $15 and change, wins for Kim Hammond. And that becomes her career victory number 2,000, making her the first female trainer in North America to win 2,000 races. So hats off to Kim Hammond, who gets a career milestone, right? Really a national kind of a milestone as well. First female trainer to hit 2,000 victories. The Jenny Reese article that covered this in the Louisville Courier-Journal noted that currently she has about 20 horses in training. And she's seems like, at least at this point in her career, she's kind of a work-a-day trainer, because I was monitoring as she approached this 2,000 win mark. And she's not currently entering a lot of horses. She's racing, it seems exclusively at this point, out at Turfway, and was entering just kind of occasionally. So that's about 20 horses and just putting them in here and there. But over her career, she's had 13,450 some starts. Again, now 2,000 victories, 1,800 and some second place finishes, 1,700 plus third place finishes, and career earnings of over $13 million. So I have to admit, before her name hit the radar chasing this, what is a very nice historical milestone, I was not aware of Kim Hammond. I'm sure handicapping some of the tracks in Kentucky, her name popped up, but a lot of times you have these work-a-day kind of trainers who are hitting at maybe a 14, 15% rate, and they don't register as a positive or a negative in your handicapping. They're just out there doing it, as I say, a lunch pail kind of a job, and she seems to be one of those kind of trainers, but now has had this career milestone. So again, hats off to trainer Kim Hammond for becoming first North American trainer, female trainer to hit 2,000 wins. Noted earlier on the Handicappers Report, Talked a little bit about it with Anthony Mormino. Belmont Stakes Day, they announced at the end of last week, it has now become the second richest day of racing in North America with $8 million in purses. They switched things up, moved some races to Belmont Stakes Day. They're planning to have 13 races, with 10 of those being significant stakes on Belmont Stakes Day. Now, according to Richard Migliore, the other 3 races will be allowance races for about $100,000. We had Rich on the show yesterday. He was talking about how a jockey looks at a juicy day like this, and he says a good day on a day like this could be essentially what would normally be considered a good year. You race well on an $8 million day. But traditionally on Belmont Stakes Day, those stakes still there, the Belmont Stakes, the Manhattan, the Just a Game, Woody Stevenson, Easy Goer, Belmont Stakes at $1.5 million, Manhattan at $1 million. But now over on Belmont Stakes Day, from Memorial Day, they're moving over the Metropolitan. The Metropolitan getting a pretty significant purse boost. Metropolitan has been $750,000. Metropolitan this year on Belmont Stakes Day will be $1.25 million. The Ogden Phipps again moves over from Memorial Day and bumps from $400,000 to $1 million. The Acorn, again a nice race for 3-year-old fillies, moves to Belmont Stakes Day and moves from $300,000 to $750,000. The Brooklyn gets bumped from $200,000 to $500,000, and the Jaipur gets doubled, $150,000 to $300,000. So it is going to be a big day of racing. As I say, I'm kind of reserving judgment and just let's see how this shakes out. They're looking to make a very special day of racing. Will it bump handle? Will it bump attendance? I'm not sure. Obviously, Belmont Stakes Day, if you have a Triple Crown on the line, you're going to get a blockbuster attendance anyway, so you don't need a day like this. So, and I'm kind of wondering if they didn't make it a foregone conclusion that now we will have a Triple Crown on the line, and so it was all for naught, kind of. But it still is going to wind up to be a very special day of racing. It'll be almost a Breeders' Cup type of day in the middle of the year. I think it's going to be a good, fun day of racing. I'm going to, as I say, reserve judgment a little bit, just see how it plays out. But at first blush, again, I tip my hat to them for at least thinking out of the box a little bit and putting together something special. So we'll see. But again, Belmont Stakes Day, now the second richest day of racing in North America, $8 million in purses. And with the purses being boosted in some of these races, clearly we're going to see a lot of the best runners. We should see big competitive fields, and I think that is going to be a very special day then for horse players, because again, Belmont Stakes Day itself it has been on the calendar for a number of years, and we kind of know what to expect. It's a big day if there's a Triple Crown on the line. It's not necessarily as big without the Triple Crown on the line, although it's still special. But now to elevate this to almost a Breeders' Cup type of a day, Breeders' Cup for horse players, betting-wise, is always very special. If they can duplicate that, then this is going to maybe be a little bit of a blockbuster. Over the weekend, Oaklawn Park canceled again on Sunday. That was their 4th straight day, so we'll have to keep our fingers crossed and see what happens down there in Arkansas. The weather has been unseasonably cold, and so track maintenance has been difficult. Same thing over at Turfway. They canceled on Sunday as well. They canceled, I believe, after the 4th on Saturday, Turfway canceled on Sunday, and they reported some ice in the Polytrack racing surface. Again, that's supposed to be an all-weather surface, but still at this time of year, you get some moisture, you get the below freezing temperatures, you can run into some problems. So Turfway canceled yesterday, and Oaklawn also canceled Sunday. Oaklawn for the 4th straight day. So said it a number of times already over the past couple of weeks, it's been a tough situation for a lot of tracks, going back to that December streak for Parks, where I think it was 10 straight days they lost. Now Oaklawn, 4 days. Fairgrounds has been hit with some wet weather that has certainly affected them in their turf racing. It's just, boy, it's a tough situation this winter for virtually everybody east of the Mississippi. All right, we're going to head to our first break, but before we do that, and I said a little bit earlier on the Handicappers Report, a race from yesterday at Gulfstream I described simply as WOW. We're going to look at the Hurricane Birdie. Group Edow's career finale. And we'll watch the entire race as we go to the commercial break, because this is the career finale. It's one of these horses, and it's a story that you're rooting for. You want to see her go out a winner, and gets out of the gate poorly, and about halfway down the backstretch, you're just kind of writing this off as, oh, how unfortunate that she's going to go out with a real dud like this. But as they turn for home, she's right in the thick of things, and very impressive down the stretch. So again, it was a fun race, given that it was the last race of the career and there was so much kind of sentimental value in it. It just played out kind of Hollywood from start to finish, certainly. So going into the commercial break, we will watch the Hurricane Birdie career finale from Groupie Doll. When we come back, it's going to be Mike Penna from the Horse Racing Radio Network for a little stakes recap from the weekend. Stay tuned. All of that after this.
They're racing in the Hurricane Birdie, and Groupie Doll had a slow start. She is off last. Groupie Doll is last early. Jamaican Smoke is going out to take the early lead. On the outside, 5-Star Mama away running in second position. Distortion is third. Wildcat Lily follows fourth by 2.5 lengths. Then Heart Stealer and My Due Process. And Groupie Doll is very slow to get going early. She's 10 lengths off the lead. As they approach the half-mile pole, that first quarter was 22-1. And it is Jamaican Smoke on top. Now the leader by a neck. 5-Star Mama second. Wildcat Lily goes up on the outside. Then Distortion, Heart Stealer, followed by I Due Process. And Groupie Doll is still last. She's closer now. She's 5 lengths off the lead. She's beginning to move up on the far outside. And here comes Groupie Doll now. Still with work to do as they come toward the top of the stretch. 5-Star Mama is the leader. Groupie Doll is 5 wide. She's on the far outside. Wildcat Lily is next. And they're into the stretch. And there goes Groupie Doll. And Rajiv Mirage lets her loose one last time, and look at her take off. She was dead last up the backstretch, but Groupie Doll goes out in glory at Gulfstream. She's won the Hurricane Birdie by 6 lengths over 5-Star Mama, then Wildcat Lily and Jamaican Smoke, and a final time of 1 minute 14.68 seconds, nearly the track record.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB Television Network.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at CapitalOTB.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right. The 2014 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes, and a seat at the 2015 Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month's contest is the Shamrock Showdown on March 1st. So sign up today, online at CapitalOTB.com, or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook.
I'm Anthony Moreno. Join me weekdays at 9 for the Handicappers Report. We'll handicap the top tracks across the country and help you prepare for the day in racing. That's the Handicappers Report, weekdays at 9, only on the OTB TV network.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As noted before the break, happy to be joined now by Mike Penna of the Horse Racing Radio Network. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, Seth, good morning. Good to talk with you again.
Yeah, always happy to have you on board. And as we always do, always like to remind the viewers that they can go over to the Horse Racing Radio Network website, pull up some of your programming on the archives. And I really want to tout it this week because you previewed it last week. You said you were down at the Jockey Guild meeting and recorded a lot of interviews. And I see they have now been mounted on the archive, including Velasquez and Ramon Dominguez. So it looks like there's some really nice content up there.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it was a really good show. Terry Meeks joined me this past week. He, of course, is the national manager for the Jockeys Guild, and he sat in to kind of analyze and discuss some of the topics that I talked with the riders about. And John Velasquez, Ramon Dominguez, Sheldon Russell, they all came on and kind of weighed in on what they thought the industry needed to do to improve safety for jockeys and the reasons why they needed to do it. And they were really fascinating when you listen to them weigh in on what they think needs to be done. It was really, really well done, and I was very appreciative that they took the time to talk about it.
Yeah, and again, folks can go over to the HRRN website and pull that up on the archives. Very informative. All right, Mike, let's kick off. It was a really nice weekend of stakes action. As I said, 3-year-olds and older, West Coast, East Coast. We'll go back to Saturday and watch the San Antonio at Santa Anita, and we're going to pick it up right out of the gate because certainly that's important here as you have both Blue Skies and Rainbows and Game On Dude, who maybe didn't break as alertly as they might have wanted, but they will wind up in a little bit of a duel early that will take their toll on both of these late. Blingo will come up late and get it done for trainer John Sheriffs and essentially the Zenyatta team, Jerry Moss. Blingo under Aaron Greider coming up late at 15-1. Blingo is going to be the number 6 horse in here. Game On Dude is number 5. Blue Skies and Rainbows number 3. And Blue Skies and Rainbows again. And Game On Dude out there now opening up a little bit on the field on the backstretch. I think folks could kind of see this, but given what Game On Dude had done in this race in past years, I think you kind of had a feeling he would still be able to overcome maybe a speed duel. But by the time they reached the far turn, you kind of realize he may be in a little bit of trouble. So this race all comes down to that early pace.
Yeah, it really does. And we have a handicapping show every Friday night on the network. And one thing I said when we talked about this race was that Game On Dude would not get beat in this race because when you look at the conditions of the race and you see the name, it says San Antonio Stakes. It doesn't say Breeders' Cup Classic. And I said, there's no way that Game On Dude loses because it seems to be the only time he really gets beat is when he runs in the Classic. But you're right, pace makes the race. We've heard that so many times in racing. The old axiom holds true again. Game On Dude getting out there and dueling through those blazing fractions, really 22-3 for the opening quarter, 46-1 for the half, I think is what really did him in. They went 110 flat for 3 quarters. And just had nothing left turning for home coming off of that layoff. But you still expected a little bit more finish out of him. That was a bit concerning that he didn't finish a little bit stronger than what he did. We thought we might see a thrilling finish in this race, but just didn't expect it would be Blingo in Imperative being the ones dueling down to the wire.
And Imperative, again, as you said, that was a nice duel down to the wire where they duked it out. Imperative ridden by Kent DeSormo. I wonder after the past few weeks if DeSormo may not be considering a move back to Southern California.
Yeah, he has done extremely well out there with limited opportunities. And remember, that's where he really made his name. He was very good, of course, racing in the Northeast and then went out to California earlier in his career and had so much success there. He does have name recognition there. He has, I'm sure, some clients that would still give him a leg up, and things have gone very well so far, and why not? He's familiar with that area.
Yeah, I'll be really interested to see over the next month or so if he starts to make more of a return out there, because he's also got kids out there, I think, as well. So,
yeah.
But that was a nice race from him with the second longest price on the board, Blingo the third longest price on the board. And Blingo, part of that price was on the San Pasqual dud, but John Sheriff subsequently has said Blingo freaked out a little bit there on the walk over, just was a little bit antsy prior to that last race, the San Pasqual. So I think if you go back to the race at Belmont, that's maybe a little more indicative of what they could expect and what they got. Now Blingo, they're talking the big cap for him. So as they are for some of these other horses, and probably we got to wait to see one more for Game On Dude to figure out what they're going to do with him now, because obviously it's one of those situations coming out of the race where Bob Baffert said, well, as long as he's competitive, we'll still race him. But if he's lost his edge, then he may go to the sidelines. And certainly he threw in a little bit of a dud yesterday or over the weekend, but I think there was an excuse.
Yeah, and to me that's the bigger question mark coming out of this race. Not so much horses like Blingo and Imperative, because I think they still have to show that they can do it again and that they belong on this big stage, prove that it's not a fluke. But Game On Dude, he's a horse that has always needed to dictate that pace to be at his best, and even when he hasn't been able to dictate the pace, he's been able to sit off of relatively reasonable fractions. Well, here it is where he gets hooked in a speed duel going through swift fractions and unable to finish. Maybe it was the layoff, but he's run well off the layoff before, so it's hard to use that excuse. He loves Santa Anita, so we know it wasn't the surface. You're right. I think we just have to see him come back and run one more time, and if he fires his best shot, we know that he still has it. If he throws in another clunker, maybe we have to start thinking that Game On Dude is a bit over the top.
Yeah, so we'll be watching for him next time out. And again, he's probably likely for the big cap as well. All right, also at Santa Anita on Saturday, we're going to take a look at the Bob Lewis. And Mike, I took a look. You're one of the poll members for the Louisville Courier-Journal's Derby media poll, and I noted that you had Candy Boy, I believe, at about 16, whereas the poll overall bumped him up. He appeared at number 6, so you weren't rating him quite as high as some of the other pollsters, but it was a nice effort in the Bob Lewis from the John Sadler trainee. We had Gary Stevens on a week or so ago, and he was high on Candy Boy at that point. Candy Boy validates that with a nice run in here. The other Baffert, she too, runs a nice second. Midnight Hawk, a little bit of a disappointment, capping off maybe a disappointing day for Bob Baffert. Midnight Hawk runs third in there. But Candy Boy, one maybe on the move forward now for John Sadler. And if you look at his last few races, prior to this win, he ran second in the Cash Call Futurity behind Shared Belief. Prior to that, Broke the Maiden, was a second in another maiden race just 3 starts back before the weekend to Tap It Rich. So he had run second to a couple of good horses that bookended his maiden win. So this win at 2-1 on the weekend, just maybe validating this is a nice horse for John Sadler.
Yeah, I think he is a nice horse, and I think he is a player right now. You know, we always look at this time of year and try to determine if the 3-year-olds are contenders or pretenders when it comes to the Derby picture, and I think you definitely have to stamp him as a contender. He probably could have been a bit higher in my pool. I always try to give the edge to some of the horses that have been there already, that I've had in place, kind of like a college football pool. Where do you debut this team that all of a sudden bursts onto the scene? But I think he flatters Shared Belief with this victory. Of course, as you mentioned, finishing second behind him in the Cash Call Futurity. So it will be interesting to see when Shared Belief comes back. But when you hear a Hall of Famer like Gary Stevens say, this is my number 1 draft choice, and he knows a thing or two about good 3-year-olds, that has to give you a lot of confidence. And the thing that struck me when I went back and really looked at the race in more depth was that he looks like a horse that is still learning. And he got an education on Saturday afternoon. He was down inside on the backstretch and pulled himself up into contention. And then Gary eased him off the pace just a little bit coming to the top of the stretch so that he could angle him out and come off the pace just a little bit there and come wide. And keep him in the clear is basically what his objective was. And he really came running at the end, and you could see he was almost not quite geared down, but he was almost just under a hand ride when he crossed the line. So this is a really, really good horse, and he's going to be heard from down the line.
Yeah, I guess they're looking Santa Anita Derby for the next start. Mike, I was happy. I talked a little bit earlier. I was happy to get him at 32-1 in the future pool. Took a little nibble, dipped my toe into the future pool with a few of them, and I was kind of happy to get him. Did anything interest you in the future pool this weekend?
No, not particularly. I'm not a big future pool player unless I'm really in love with a horse and I can get a really strong price. But I rarely play the future pools, to be honest with you. I'm a huge fan of Top Billing right now. He's been the horse that's had my wow factor for me, and I don't think that he was a gigantic price. If he stubs his toe in one of the Derby preps and still makes it to the Derby, you'll probably get equally as good a price on Derby day. So that's how I kind of look at it. and I try to just pick my spots with those when I do play them.
Yeah, I agree on some of those horses. Top Billing closed at 13-1. Cairo Prince also at 13-1. And I can't dip my toe in at those prices because it's just, you're 13-1 at this point to make the first Saturday in May, I think. So some of the shorter prices were not attractive at all. But again, and I'm not a big future pool player either, but I usually do dip in a little bit, just lightly, just to have a little bit of a fun ticket if the price makes it worthwhile. And Mike, again, looking at your Courier Journal media poll, you've got a Top Billing, Cairo Prince, Honor Code, Havana, and Shared Belief. Honor Code and Shared Belief, both right up there in your top 5. And at this point, I'm still kind of waiting and seeing. I think they're behind the 8 ball. I want both of those to make it back to the track and prove that they're real contenders this year.
Yeah, and prove that they've matured and that they're coming back even better than they were in their 2-year-old campaign. That'll be the big question mark. And you're right, losing some time doesn't help either one of those contenders. That's why I actually moved Top Billing into the number 1 spot this week as opposed to Honor Code because of those issues. But Honor Code, if he does come back, and he is obviously 100%, which he will be for trainer Shug McGahee when he makes it back, then you have to consider him a major player until he proves otherwise.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see both of those if and when they do make a comeback, because certainly they are top contenders if they come back ready to go. All right, let's shift our attention now to Sunday's action at Gulfstream. And before we get to the Gulfstream Park turf, a little earlier I showed Groupie Doll's race. I just want to get your thoughts on that. My comment at the top of the show was WOW. What an incredible performance.
Yeah, it really was. And I'll admit it, I got a little choked up as I was watching her pull away for the final time. Just the way that she did it. My relationship with Buff Bradley dates back to when I was working at Keeneland in Horse ID 12 or 13 years ago. And I got to know Buff at that point, and he was one of the nicest, most down-to-earth individuals you could ever meet, and we became friends from that point on. So to see him come back after what he did with Brass Hat and now end up with a horse like Groupie Doll is just remarkable. It's everything that is right with the sport of horse racing, and it was fitting that she went out the way she did. But I heard some rumblings that maybe there's a chance that, you never say never, there might be another start for her. But I seriously doubt it. I think she's going to have that date with Tappet out at Gainesway Farm, and she'll be a great mama.
Yeah, it sounded like that was floated out there, but I'm with you. It seemed like they were leaning towards, okay, let's go out. You know, we put the exclamation point on the career. Let's go out on a high. So I would say there's maybe the door is slightly open, but very slightly. It looks more likely that was the last career start, but I agree. I said it earlier on the show, that to me was a Hollywood scripted last race from gate break to wire, because down the backstretch, you had to think, oh, how unfortunate, she's going to go out with a dud. And then on the turn, she just comes back to life, and down the stretch, absolutely incredible, just showed her class.
Yeah, remarkable. It was good to see, and again, very fitting that she would end her career in that fashion.
Absolutely. All right, now let's get to the stakes a little bit later on the card. Going to watch the stretch run here from the Gulfstream Park turf. The favorite in here was Summerfront at 2-1. That one will wind up throwing in a little bit of a dud, running 7th in a field of 8. Amira's Prince was a horse that I liked. Winds up, I thought, a decent third off the layoff at 5-2, but coming up on the rail, an absolutely brilliant ride from Orlando Boca Chica, getting the inaugural Jockey Club Tour on Fox Series off to a nice start as the 39-1 rank outsider. And you look at Lochte, and on first blush, on the look after the race, you say, boy, how'd that one get away at 39-1 coming off a nice win on the track prior? But it was against lesser company on the numbers. The rest of the field had an edge, certainly. So maybe 39-1 was a little bit bigger than this horse deserved, but it probably should have been one of the outsiders in the field, no question about it. Again, though, just hats off to the rider coming up the rail like that.
Yeah, Orlando Boca Chica, and yeah, you're right, Seth. When you look at the other horses in this field, they were all proven greatest stakes competitors for the most part, whereas Lochte was making his greatest stakes debut, and not just the greatest stakes debut, but doing it in a Grade 1 race after taking a non-winners of one allowance race in his previous start. So it deserved to be a big price based on the class factor, but the recent form for Lochte was sneaky good. And when you look at what he's done since transferring to the barn of Marcus Vitelli, He's won 3 of 5 starts. He is yet to be worse than third, and his turf form, even going back to when he was with Kieran McLaughlin before that, was very solid. In hindsight 2020, but here's a horse that never finished off the board in 5 turf starts. So he loves the turf, he loves Gulfstream Park, and a very nice effort from him. Didn't see it coming because he was outclassed, but he proved that he belongs.
Yeah, and it again, off of this form since the move to the new barn and the race on the weekend, I think he will be a fun, interesting player now in the turf division, no doubt about it. And I believe it was the first Grade 1 win for both the jockey and the trainer, so hats off to them as well.
Yeah, it's great to see.
Yeah. All right, now let's shift out to another one of the highlights of the weekend. San Antonio on the West Coast with Game on Dude certainly attracted a lot of attention. But on Sunday, the Don handicapped the return of Will Take Charge. And Mike, I was on the handicapping show yesterday doing Gulfstream, and I took a little shot at this exacta. I thought Leah, and I'm now going to go with Leah because we talked on the handicapping show earlier. On yesterday's broadcast, it seemed like half of them were saying Leah and half were saying Lee. Of course, track announcer, he said Lee, and that's kind of why I was leaning towards Lee. But I will say this, during the break, my partner Anthony Mormino looked it up, and he did find Leah as a British word defining something in the vicinity of meadow is what it means. But it was labeled as 2 syllables. So that makes Leah, I'm going with Leah at this point until I hear otherwise. But on the handicapping show yesterday, I took a little shot with Leah off of the race prior, which I thought was just one of those that seemed to indicate the horse had made a significant move. Certainly had shown an affinity for Gulfstream. I took a little bit of a shot at Will Take Charge, putting him right underneath. Based at Oaklawn with the weather this year and the van ride down, I thought if you're going to take a shot against, Sunday might be the day. So I had the exacta there, but that said, I don't think this race takes anything away from Will Take Charge. It took a big move on the turn where Leah took a nice lead and got that margin that is tough to make up on the Gulfstream Park stretch. It took that and a track record to beat Will Take Charge. So I think both of the top 2 come out of this looking very, very good.
Yeah, and it's interesting you would start by bringing up the name because I don't know if we've had a debate like this over a name since Dullahan, however you want to pronounce it for Dale Romans. Larry Colmus actually had a post on his Facebook page late yesterday afternoon after the broadcast, and he said that it is pronounced Lee, as in L-E-E. It is a term for a meadow, and the dam of Lee is greenery. So that's where the name came from, but he insists that it is pronounced Lee, as in L-E-E. But you're right, they did go with it a couple of different ways on the broadcast. So, it'll be debated back and forth now. Some people will be in one side of that camp, and some people will be in the other. Welcome to horse racing. That's what it's all about. But you're right, in terms of the actual race itself, in my opinion, Lee was about the only horse that had an opportunity to truly knock off Will Take Charge. Will Take Charge was going to be the horse to beat, but coming off of the layoff, making his 4-year-old debut, shipping the Gulfstream from his home base at Oaklawn Park, there were a lot of reasons to take a shot against him at a short price, and Lee had the home court advantage, had come out of that big win in the Hales Hope, and anything close to that was going to make him a major player in this spot. And Will Take Charge, take nothing away from him. What a performance. He is so gutsy. And he just continues to come at you through the stretch. And what a remarkable turnaround after being drubbed throughout the Triple Crown series to all of a sudden get it together. And he is going to be a major factor in this older horse division. And looking ahead to Horse of the Year honors, this will be fun to watch. We'll see where Lee goes next. We'll see where Will Take Charge shows up. This won't be the last time we see these two run against each other.
Yeah, and Leah is interesting to me in that, again, I think that last race just seemed to be a little bit of a light bulb moment, but also you got to wonder, a lot of horses just really take to that Gulfstream Park strip as well, so could have played into that a little bit also, maybe a little bit of a horse for a course, so I want to see that one move to another circuit and do as well. Now, yesterday, the disappointments were River 7, who folks were taking, that horse was getting a lot of buzz too, 10th in a field of 11, and Revolutionary, who had some extra buzz after the very nice Saturday performance by Falling Sky. I think that certainly flattered Revolutionary a little bit, but Revolutionary also a disappointment, running 7th in the field of 11.
Yeah, both of those very, very disappointing. And Revolutionary, I keep wanting this horse to emerge as the horse in the handicap division. Now, I thought he was going to do that as a 3-year-old last year. I loved him in the Kentucky Derby. If he gets up for second, I'm making one of the biggest scores of my entire life, but he did do that. So I was hoping that he would redeem himself in the Don Handicap, but it just wasn't meant to be. He's a horse that seems to have some trouble showing up in these really big events, and he's going to need to get that turned around if he's going to compete later on in the season here.
Yeah, and it could have been a little bit of a regression off the big return effort, as I say, beating Falling Sky, who was so impressive, winning that sprint stake on Saturday. So maybe next time out, Revolutionary will bounce back a little bit. All right, Mike, as always, we certainly appreciate the visit. Recap of some of the stakes action on a very nice stakes weekend. Again, we'll tell people to pop on over to the Horse Racing Radio Network to catch the archive. And what's coming up down the road for Horse Racing Radio Network?
Well, we're getting ready to begin our Road to the Kentucky Derby broadcast series, which we partnered with Churchill Downs to do. We've created a series where we'll broadcast just about every major prep race on national radio, so folks can see that schedule on our website at horseracingradio.net, and that begins February 22nd with the Fountain of Youth and the Risen Star.
Excellent. All right, Mike, as always, appreciate the visit. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Seth.
Thank you. Mike Penna from the Horse Racing Radio Network. We'll take our next break. When we come back, Eric Donovan from NYRA. Stay tuned.
The future of online betting is here, and only at the all-new CapitalOTBBet.com. CapitalOTBBet.com delivers a state-of-the-art wagering experience found nowhere else in horse racing. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Fascinated by the world of horse racing? Interested in honing your handicapping skills? Class is in session. Night school, Monday nights. Easy to access online. It's free, interactive, and informative for the casual and serious race fan. Horse Player Now Buzz. Live horses to watch emailed to you daily. Our eyes, your prize. Night school in the buzz. Visit horseplayernow.com for details.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Cassano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today. Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Monday morning. Monday morning means racing from Aqueduct. So we're really happy to be joined by Eric Donovan from the New York Racing Association. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Seth. How are you?
Very good. And I know last week there was a little bit of a weather problem. I've said a number of times over the past week, you're not alone. Weather is affecting everybody this winter. But looks like racing on track for this afternoon. What does the weather look like down there?
Oh, we had about 2 inches of snow, late, not too late last night, probably about 7 o'clock to about, 9 or 10 o'clock or something like that. So roads were, a little messy this morning, but nothing too bad, and the track is in pretty good shape. So we're all good to go for today. It's another cold day, but sunny outside right now, so we'll hope to be good from there. And then the next possible chance of snow, I guess, is now Wednesday into Thursday they're talking about. So hopefully that could come and not impact us on Friday.
Yeah, because you're now on the shorter schedule, so after today you won't be back till Friday, so even if something happened on Thursday, you would still have plenty of time, we would assume. Eric, before we get to some of the racing for this afternoon, just want to touch on the nice announcement at the end of last week. I'm sure everybody down there has to be very excited. Belmont Stakes Day and the New York Racing Association now putting on the second richest day of racing in North America with that additional purse money and additional stakes action on Belmont Stakes Day.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge day. I mean, Martin Panza, brought in here to, pretty much be the head guy for the racing department, and he really pulled out all stops for his first big move, making the Belmont Day what it is going to be in 2014. $8 million in purses. You move the Met to Belmont Day and boost the purse on that to $1.25 million. The Ogden Phipps is going to be worth $1 million as well, and the Acorn being moved to Belmont Day. So it's it's already an outstanding day of racing. But and I could see somewhere some of the traditionalists are saying the Met Mile should be run on a Memorial Day. That's where it's supposed to be, and I understand that. But to really put Belmont Day over the top, you had to move the Met Mile to Belmont Day, because if you just move the Phipps or you move the Acorn, you put some other stakes there, it's a nice day, but now you really got the wow factor by moving the Met to the Belmont Day.
Yeah, there's clearly the wow factor. The first thing I thought when I read the press release was looking to bump up some attendance, bump up interest, bump up handle. But I'm wondering if it's now a foregone conclusion that there will be a Triple Crown try in the Belmont this year. I'm thinking, you do all this to get the attention to Belmont, and that'll guarantee that we're already going to get it with a Triple Crown try this year. But that'll just bump things up even more.
Yeah, we take that scenario. That would certainly work for us.
Yeah, you'll be busting at the seams if that happens.
Yep.
And also, before I get to the racing for this afternoon, I just wanted to touch on Mondays now. You have a really fun on-track promotion where somebody gets selected at random for a $1,000 bet, and I bring it up because in the inaugural version of it a couple of weeks ago, Abra, who was a really short price for Linda Rice, the winner of the selection of the $100,000 bet, picked Abra, walks away with $1,400.
Yeah, not too bad. Pretty good for a day's pay there. I don't think there's anything quite as guaranteed in today's eighth race, and from what I understand, it's still the bet has to be on the eighth race, and you do have that horse Prohibition. It's been pretty sharp off the claim for Cat Lynch. We'll see what you get out of him, but certainly no Mortal Lock Abras in the eighth race today.
And that was, they had the bets up at Saratoga too, and it was really the luck of the draw. There was some weeks where it was just obvious where you should go with your money, and other weeks not so much. So the first winner of the $1,000 bet just wound up on a lucky week, so congratulations to him. But it does, again, seem like a fun on-track promotion. All right, let's look out at a few races for this afternoon down at Aqueduct. We'll kick things off in the third. State-bred maiden claimer for fillies and mares 4-year-olds, and up at the 25,000 level. They're going a mile. Your thoughts in the third?
Yeah, I'm against the horse on the outside, Sky Lassie. I know you get a rider switch to Taylor Rice. She's been riding real well here, but she comes out of the same race as Gingy and also BB's Passion on January 17th. And I didn't really think Sky Lassie did much significant running in there at all. I know she passed Gingy, to be third in there, beat her a few lengths. I kind of like Gingy's effort a little bit better in there, being up closer to the pace. But to be honest with you, you know what? I look at Gingy and I see, me talking to you again this time next year and say, Gingy, she's coming off a good second, but she's 0 for 30 with 6 seconds and 3/3. So I'm looking to the horse right to there inside, the 5 Explosive Smile for Randy Persaud. He's had a good couple of days here at Aqueduct. He's won 3 races over the past 2 racing days. And to me, this just looks like one that might appreciate a little bit of stretch out. She's by Pleasantly Perfect. She's lightly raced, which I think is a nice bonus in here when you have horses that have run 20 times, some of them 16 times in the case of Gingy, and 12 now in the case of Sky Lassie. The lightly race factor is good. The fact that she's bred to hand a little bit of a stretch out is good as well. And we see a new apprentice on Andre Worry, who I believe was down in Florida for a while. Good apprentices here this season.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we in addition to Taylor Rice, you got Trevor McCarthy, Manny Esquivel. I think Jonathan Zayas has been perfectly acceptable. He seems to be able to ride speed very well. So this is as deep as an apprentice colony as we've had here in quite some time.
Yeah, I agree. Taylor Rice has certainly been impressive, but Trevor McCarthy, again, last year the leading rider for the entire year down in Maryland, so he's been impressive now for a while. All right, and I totally agree in a race like that, I like to go with the I'll go with the fresh face. I'll go with a first-time starter in those kind of races. When that's not available, I will go with, let's say, the fresher face, the lightly raced horse in a field, as you say, horses that have had plenty of opportunities and haven't gotten it done, so no arguments there. Sixth race this afternoon, maiden specials. These are New York bred 4-year-olds and up. They'll go a mile and a 16th.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the 7th Sir Maurice here. I'm not expecting too much of a price on him this afternoon. You know, I made him the favorite. I could see him being second choice, perhaps to privatize. You know, if things go in my favor here in terms of getting a good odds on him. But this is just a huge jockey switch, and Laura Carson, she's a 7-pound apprentice, and she's not in the category of the guys that I just mentioned, Taylor Rice and the other apprentices here. She's more of like an exercise rider, kind of cutting her teeth in the afternoon. So this is a big switch to Cece Lopez. I think twice in a row, things have gone on in the race where he kind of ran off with her. 2 back on January 5th to that big lead, still held on quite well in that spot, going a mile and 70. And then last time out, January 25th, I thought it was one of those days where you really had to be, on the rail or in the 2-path on the inner track, and this horse, swung about 5 or 6 wide at the top of the stretch there, and they're really closed well, and you didn't see too many horses close at all on that day. So I think this is a big jock switch, and she got privatized to beat in here, and some others. I mean, it's not an easy field, but I think the rider switch and the fact that he's been kind of up against it the last couple times out, Sir Maurice, I like to say.
Yeah, and I always like Lopez with a little bit of speed, too, on the inner track. 7th race this afternoon is a state-bred allowance. These are New York-bred 4-year-olds and up, non-winners of one other than. They're going to go 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, good race here. A bunch of them coming out of the same race on January 18th. That was won by Married to the Music. Obviously, he's a standout compared to the group in here. And, Billy the Bull, I'm expecting to get some play second off the layoff here. Showed some speed in the race last time out. He's going to need to improve, though, and I know he might second off the layoff, but, I still want to see another one from him. Half Nelson, kind of thinks going the wrong way in here. And we'll see what you get from Ed's Magic, who, I went to on top, and here comes out of that Married to the Music race. And, just almost too bad an effort to believe after those 2 good races, 1 for 35 that he was claimed out of, and then the non-winners of 1 allowance against 1 Great Classic. Good sealed track last time out, also adding Lasix today, a combination of factors there, perhaps not liking the sealed track and maybe bleeding a little bit too. So hope you get an improved performance, and if you can run back to those races 2 and 3 back, he's going to be real tough in here.
Yeah, and whenever you see a race like that, it's kind of an aberration, and so you got to kind of feel your way around, and particularly if you can find an excuse, and as you say, maybe the sealed track, but certainly the additional Lasix kind of indicates maybe there was an excuse last time, and we'll get closer to those numbers before. So I agree with that one. Interesting on again, the aberration and maybe a bounce back to the prior good numbers. 8th race this afternoon, state-bred optional claimer, $30,000 tags, non-winners of 2 other than the condition, 4-year-olds up. They're going to go a mile and a 16th. Your thoughts on the 8th?
Yeah, another solid state-bred allowance for the 2 other thens. I mean, you take a look around here. Street Lord coming off a big race last time out. Go Get the Basils, run some big figures in the past, and of course Zetterholm, a stakes horse that was once on the Triple Crown Trail to some respect, running in the Preakness back in 2012. And then you go to the outside horse and you say, wow, where is this horse Prohibition come up with these races from? And he's had some sharp guys training him in the past. He's been in Chad Brown's barn. He's been with Rudy Rodriguez in the past as well. But it's Cal Lynch, who's based down at Parks, that really gets the best out of him here, coming off 2 races at Parks and then a blowout win here, going along on the inner track. When you look at races like that, you're trying to pick them apart a little bit and say, this horse had things his own way. He won by 15. He's stepping up. He's facing facing better horses, which is all true. But I mean, my gosh, you take a look at his last 3 races. He's just a different horse, and he got a big scratch today with the number 7 Ready to Defer coming out as well. So things kind of got a little bit easier for him. I don't think he necessarily has to be on the lead. He came from off the pace in his 2 races at Parks, but certainly helps with that other speed out. And I look for the beat to keep on rolling with Prohibition today, although it's not an easy spot.
Yeah, it may have showed a little bit of a horse for a course angle last time, too. We'll find out more about that today, but certainly did it in the right way last time. Eric, certainly appreciate the visit, and again, we enjoyed watching you during the weekend as you had a little more air time there. And speaking of that, how'd you like your boys on the Fox broadcast?
I didn't get to see a whole lot of it. What I did see of it, I thought Andy and Richie obviously did very well. I only saw probably about 10 minutes of the whole broadcast. I was here doing the replay show at the end of the day, and then I didn't really stick around and really sticking around and getting home at 7:30, and putting the kids to bed and having dinner. So kind of split. I meant to tape it. I meant to DVR it at home, and I forgot to. So I didn't see it, but I'm sure those guys did great the rest of the way. And it was a really outstanding effort by Lee, who I think from a racing fan's perspective, if that race is real and he comes back and runs another one like that, or he can run another one like that, we're looking at a real superstar here.
My question mark about him, though, and I said it earlier, I'm just wondering, speaking of horse for a course, some horses just seem to freak a little bit down there at Gulfstream. So I want to see him do it again away from Gulfstream.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's certainly a concern. I mean, you can kind of think back to, Cigar a little bit, maybe, an older horse that Bill Mott's kind of, gotten his hands on that, changed course and, try to run him on the dirt and older horses, and he's brought out the best of them. So it'll be interesting to see where he pops up next time out. Bill Mott said he's not going to do a whole lot with him over the next month, and it seems like Dubai's out of the question. They're going to point him to the Whitney, but obviously he's probably going to have a race before then. So just an intriguing prospect, and certainly one that the way him and Will Take Charge separated themselves from the rest of the field there and just drew off. I mean, it was a real impressive effort, but as you said, sometimes you like to see them do it outside of Gulfstream Park as well. We've certainly seen that with a lot of Pletcher horses where they just freak down there and can't come close to duplicating that anywhere else.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I liked him going into the race, so I still like him now. But again, I want to see him do it away. You mentioned Will Take Charge as well. I don't think that no shame in defeat. I think he was up against the bias a little bit when Leah got away at the top of the stretch. It was going to be tough to run that one down. So I think Will Take Charge also very good in the 2014 and the 4-year-old debut. And certainly, again, Bill Mott targeting perhaps the Whitney. That's good news. And you would have to think Wayne Lucas is at Saratoga every year. So that could be shaping things up for a nice Whitney as well. But plenty of racing in between also. Oh, and I'll get your opinion on a horse we've seen up at Saratoga in years past. How about the performance from Groupie Doll?
Yeah, it was something special. I mean, a good way to go out there. Obviously a horse that has a big fan base and a big following, and you just hope that they're able to deliver the goods and go out on the right note. She certainly did that, and very happy for her connections, and look forward to seeing what she'll drop down the road and see some of her babies at the racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Eric, we certainly appreciate the visit this morning, and again, racing this afternoon at the New York Racing Association down at Aqueduct. Thanks for the selections, and good luck. We'll talk to you down the road.
All right, you too. Take care.
Eric Donovan from the New York Racing Association. A little earlier, we had Mike Penna from Horse Racing Radio Network, all of which brings us to the end of this edition of Racing Across America. We're kicking off the week. It's Monday. Plenty of racing conversation throughout the week as we'll look back at some of these stakes races and some of the other stakes action from the weekend as well, but also look forward to racing at the various venues. Do want to remind you this month at Capital OTB, both on the website, online, and at the various branches, there are some events going on. Showviver contest online both the 15th and the 22nd. There's a Fan Appreciation Day coming up at the Cleats branch this Saturday, the 15th. There is a Prize Wheel Day the following Saturday, February 22nd, down here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Again, a Prize Wheel Day. And a week from this coming Friday, on the 21st, there's the 500 Happy Hour Bankroll with Brian Nadeau. Each Monday, that includes today, Knockout Challenge on Aqueduct Racing. So come on down to the Clubhouse Racebook this afternoon, a $100 Knockout Challenge. That happens every Monday. 23rd of this month, there is a Sunday Syndicate Bankroll. So plenty of action here. Again, Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Online, capitalotb.com, or at some of the various branches. And you can find out more about that at our website, capitalotb.com. All right, we'll wrap things up for Racing Across America for this Monday morning. I'm here every Monday through Friday from 10 until 11 a.m. A little earlier, I was on the Handicappers Report with Anthony Mormino. I looked at Turf Paradise. Anthony looked at Aqueduct. Hopefully, we gave you some good information. So cash some tickets this afternoon. We'll see you again tomorrow morning.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.